A burning streak of light tears across the poisoned sky, far brighter than any drop pod, brighter even than the dying sun above the battlefield. Imperial guardsmen look up in terror as the air itself screams, splitting open under the impossible speed of something descending toward them. Vox units crackle with confused voices, Auspex scanners overload, and a tech priest begins chanting warnings of Xenos intrusion. Then comes the impact, an explosion so violent that tanks flip like toys, trenches collapse, and a shockwave rips through the no-man's land. Dust clears slowly, and standing at the center of a molten crater is a lone figure, untouched, unmoving, and glowing faintly with an energy the Imperium has never seen. A sergeant whispers trembling words, "By the throne, is that a man?" But whatever he is, he didn't come here as an enemy, yet this galaxy is built to turn every stranger into a threat. In that first silent moment, before anyone fires a shot, the universe feels something new enter its veins. Something pure. Something powerful. Something terrifying. A Kryptonian. In today's journey, we step into a nightmare galaxy where hope is a liability and mercy is a myth. We will explore what happens when Superman, the last son of Krypton, is hurled into the grim darkness of Warhammer 40k, a universe where gods are born from madness, where humanity survives under endless war, and where even light struggles to exist. Unlike classic versus debates, this story isn't about who wins a fight. This is a collision of ideologies, a clash between Superman's unwavering hope and a civilization that would sooner burn a world than risk corruption. What does a hero built to inspire do when every act of kindness is labeled heresy? How does a man forged by Earth's sun react when he meets a galaxy powered by torment, fear, and the psychic storms of the warp? As we unravel this dark what-if, we'll witness how every faction, Imperium, Chaos, Eldar, Orks, and more, reacts to a being who doesn't belong to their cosmic script. Because in Warhammer 40k, even a god is just another problem waiting to be purged, the Kryptonian crashes into Warhammer 40k like a meteor written in divine fire. His body cuts through the atmosphere of a war-torn Imperial world, leaving a trail of burning plasma in the sky. Entire battalions pause mid-firefight as the heavens split open. The ground trembles before he even hits, and then a thunderous blast tears across the battlefield. Bolters fall silent. Orks freeze mid-charge. Even Astartes brace themselves as the shockwave sweeps away dirt, metal, and bodies alike. When the smoke thins, they see a glowing figure standing unscathed in a crater of melted rock. His cape flutters in a wind born from raw energy. Commanders shout warnings about an unidentified Xenos. Servitors scream corrupted data. Superman raises his hands, trying to speak, but fear moves faster than reason in the Imperium. The first bolts fire. They bounce harmlessly off his chest. He urges them to stop, but they cannot hear him over centuries of indoctrinated paranoia. When Astartes charge, Superman doesn't strike back, he simply catches their blows with effortless calm. Yet even this restraint terrifies them. For the first time in millennia, the Imperium sees something they cannot classify, control, or kill, a god who does not bleed. Superman tries to de-escalate the fight, but the Imperium responds the only way it knows, overwhelming force. Valkyrie gunships swarm the sky and unleash a hurricane of heavy bolter fire. Basilisks anchor their massive cannons and open fire. Lost guns stab in the darkness like desperate prayers. None of it makes the slightest difference. Superman blocks explosions with his body, shielding terrified civilians who cower between the crossfire. A commissar mistakes this mercy as manipulation and orders the execution of anyone who approaches the Kryptonian. Superman disarms him gently, but even this act is declared heresy. Word spreads quickly, an unregistered metahuman with godlike power has arrived, warp silent and impossible to categorize. The Inquisition reacts instantly. Kill orders circulate through encrypted channels. Assassins prepare toxin rounds and warp blades, convinced that only a god-killer weapon can end this being. Imperial commanders attempt diplomacy only to buy time for more reinforcement fleets. Across the battlefield, soldiers whisper forbidden questions, if this man wanted them dead, wouldn't they already be dead? But the Imperium is incapable of trust. Mercy is foreign. Compassion is dangerous. The more Superman saves, the more they condemn him. In their eyes, his kindness is the greatest threat of all. Superman's arrival does more than disturb armies, it shakes the psychic foundations of the Imperium. Astropaths across the sector scream as visions erupt in their minds. They see a burning blue sun falling into reality, a being of impossible purity walking through darkness without corruption. Their cries reach Terra, echoing through the psychic choir connected to the Golden Throne. Something ancient stirs. The Emperor feels it, a presence that shines without warp signature, a being whose essence defies the tortured laws of 40k's reality. For the first time in centuries, the master of mankind senses something unfamiliar, hope, or danger. Custodes gather in silent urgency. They observe distorted warp patterns forming around the Kryptonian, not as corruption but as resistance. The warp seems to bend away from him, creating pockets of unnatural calm. This alone makes Inquisitors panic. Anything that can alter the warp without psychic power cannot be allowed to exist. Within the throne's machine tomb, the Emperor's awareness expands across the galaxy. He sees Superman lifting fallen debris from crushed guardsmen, shielding the weak, refusing to kill. A paradox in flesh. A god who denies the cruelty of this age. The Emperor realizes a single truth: this Kryptonian could change everything. The moment Superman enters the galaxy, the Chaos Gods take notice. Khorne roars in confusion and fury at the sight of a warrior who refuses to kill, a being with strength surpassing any demon prince yet bound by restraint. Sench strains to predict his future but finds nothing. Superman has no warp presence, no psychic signature, no threads to manipulate. It is as if he exists outside the chaos tapestry entirely. Slaanesh feels an unbearable irritation, sensing a soul so clean, so unbroken, that even their darkest temptations cannot find purchase. Nurgle's decay recoils from Superman's solar-charged biology, unable to infect or corrupt him. To Chaos, he is an anomaly, untouchable, unreadable, unbreakable. So they attack. Demon hordes tear through reality, emerging in crimson storms to test this intruder. Superman meets them head-on, fists glowing with solar fury. Every punch collapses demons into raw warp ash. His heat vision slices through entire swarms like a blade of sunlight. But something strange happens. The warp begins to twist violently around him, not corrupting him, but destabilizing itself. His very existence is a threat to chaos. As he stands surrounded by smoldering demon corpses, the Chaos Gods finally understand, this Kryptonian is not prey. He is extinction. Beyond the Imperium and Chaos, the alien races of the galaxy react swiftly. Eldar Farseers witness visions of a star that burns outside destiny, a figure who stands outside every prophecy the craftworlds rely upon. Their runes fall silent when asked about him, an omen more terrifying than death itself. They debate whether Superman could be the spear that kills chaos, or the spark that destroys all timelines. Meanwhile, the Orks are overjoyed. To them, Superman is the ultimate challenge, Blue Humi, who can punch tanks and shrug off artillery. War bosses rally mobs across multiple sectors, convinced that fighting him will be the most proper fun in the galaxy. The Tyranids sense something different. To the hive mind, Superman appears as a living furnace of energy, a biological supergenerator whose cells could power entire fleets. His DNA becomes a priority target for assimilation. Even the ancient Necrons awaken, intrigued by the presence of a being whose power rivals their greatest constructs. Their cryptechs analyze the phenomenon and declare him a solar anomaly, perhaps even a leftover weapon of the old ones. Every Xenos faction, for its own reasons, marks the Kryptonian as either salvation or prey. None realize he seeks neither. As Superman explores more of the galaxy, he reaches a crossroads that will define its future. If he chooses to stand with the Imperium, he throws himself into a system drowning in fear and authoritarian brutality. He sees planets where entire populations are exterminated for minor deviation, worlds forced into endless war, and leaders who worship survival over humanity. He tries to fix things, shields refugees from bombardments, halts pointless purges, negotiates peace between human factions. For a moment, hope spreads. Some call him a saint. Others call him a heretic. High lords debate using him as a living weapon. Inquisitors desperately seek ways to control or eliminate him. Eventually, Superman realizes the terrible truth: the Imperium is not built to be improved. It is built to endure. Compassion is treated as sabotage. Justice is mistaken for rebellion. Alternatively, if he chooses to oppose the Imperium, he becomes a symbol the galaxy has never seen, a lone figure freeing enslaved worlds, dismantling tyrannical regimes, and inspiring billions. His legend grows faster than any crusade. The Imperium brands him the greatest heresy since Horus. Whole sectors rise in his name. In both paths, Superman learns the same lesson: in this universe, even heroes become threats. Superman's presence pushes the galaxy toward a breaking point. Factions mobilize entire fleets just to contain his influence. Propaganda spreads throughout human space, depicting him as an invading god. Civil uprisings erupt as oppressed populations finally see someone who doesn't fear the Imperium's cruelty. Even planets untouched by his arrival start whispering forbidden ideas: freedom, compassion, hope. These words alone are enough to trigger mass executions. If Superman sides with the Imperium, he becomes the spearhead of a new era of conquest. Under his leadership, worlds fall quickly, chaos shrinks, and alien races retreat. But victory comes at a cost. Every triumph drags Superman deeper into a machine fueled by misery. Even he cannot change the Imperium without destroying it. If he opposes the Imperium, the galaxy fractures. Loyalist Astartes hunt him across the stars. Rebel chapters secretly aid him. Chaos watches with greedy amusement, waiting for both sides to weaken. Through it all, Superman remains committed to saving lives, yet this galaxy punishes anyone who tries. By the end, he realizes an impossible truth: Warhammer 40k is not a place to be saved, it is a place to survive. Even a Kryptonian god must choose a side, or watch the galaxy burn around him. The galaxy burns beneath endless stars, yet in the midst of destruction, one figure stands untouched. Superman surveys the worlds he has touched, the lives he has saved, and the countless battles he could not prevent. He feels the weight of a universe that punishes hope, that sees mercy as weakness, and that bends the strong to serve despair. Even gods are measured by their choices, and in this galaxy, every choice comes with consequences heavier than any planet he has flown over. Civilizations whisper his name in awe, in fear, in defiance, and in worship. Some call him a savior, others a heretic, but none can ignore him. The Imperium tightens its grip, chaos schemes endlessly, Xenos factions recalculate their strategies, and yet Superman remains a constant, an unyielding force of light in the void. He understands the truth of this place: Warhammer 40k is a universe that cannot be saved, only endured. And even a god must learn to endure alongside it. As he takes to the skies once more, he carries the hopes of the powerless, the anger of the oppressed, and the weight of all that remains unjust. In the grim darkness of the far future, one truth remains undeniable: even a god must choose a side, or watch everything he loves burn.